webinar un po', come avrete capito, sarà un webinar sia in italiano che in inglese. L'obiettivo di oggi è quello di cercare di entrare più nel dettaglio. The next slide, please. Di entrare più nel dettaglio rispetto a quello che è il progetto SOILSCAPE, nel quale siamo coinvolti come Cluster Create, come partner, un progetto finanziato dall'Unione Europea, quindi questa è l'agenda dell'ora che passeremo insieme. Quindi prima cercheremo di raccontarvi un po' meglio che cos'è SOILSCAPE, che cosa sono le Soil Orchestra e quindi le orchestre del suolo, nel nostro caso a livello italiano, e poi passeremo invece a capire meglio nel dettaglio quello che è lo schema delle open call di SOILSCAPE, la call, diciamo, macro di progetto, quindi il finanziamento, il supporto finanziario a terze parti di SOILSCAPE, e quello invece più specifico per la nostra Soil Orchestra, quindi la Soil Orchestra italiana, per poi vedere insieme quello che è il processo di candidatura e come appunto scrivere una proposta progettuale di successo da poi poter candidare. Prima di iniziare, alcune diciamo informazioni di dettaglio. La primissima è che, come ho già anticipato, la prima parte sarà interamente in italiano e ce ne occuperemo io, Giulia Grassini, Project Manager per il Cluster Create, per chi non mi conoscesse, e la collega Serena Roffi, mentre la seconda parte sarà in inglese e verrà esposta da McKinsey, Refrain Food, anche loro partner del progetto SOILSCAPE. E quindi se avrete poi delle domande vi chiediamo gentilmente di scriverle o nella chat o nella sezione domande e risposte, se preferite in italiano o direttamente in inglese, per far sì che siano direttamente comprensibili da McKinsey. Alla fine del webinar invece abiliteremo la possibilità di aprire i microfoni per poter porre le domande a voce. Anche in questo caso, se preferite in italiano, poi noi possiamo tradurle, oppure direttamente in inglese. Finite le comunicazioni di servizio, possiamo iniziare con la presentazione di SOILSCAPE. Next slide, please. Thank you. Ok, quindi il progetto SOILSCAPE è un progetto Horizon Europe, come vi dicevo, dalla durata di 4 anni, che ha l'obiettivo di sfruttare, di utilizzare il potere delle industrie culturali e creative, delle pratiche artistiche e i metodi artistici, soprattutto degli artisti e delle artiste, e delle organizzazioni della società civile per promuovere la conservazione del suolo in Europa ed oltre. Quindi l'obiettivo principale è quello di diffondere un'alfabetizzazione aperta e inclusiva e una cultura del suolo tramite le pratiche artistiche e l'educazione. Next slide, please. Ok, come dicevo, appunto, una durata di 4 anni. Le attività di progetto sono iniziate ufficialmente a giugno del 2024 e termineranno a giugno del 2028. Tutte le attività sono coordinate da AFES, che è l'Associazione francese per la valorizzazione del suolo, e ha a disposizione 6 milioni di euro di budget. Thank you. Questi sono i partner. Siamo 11 partner provenienti da 11 paesi differenti e diciamo, sulla destra possiamo vedere come sono identificati questi partner, quindi da istituti di ricerca università a società europee di scienza del suolo, agenzia ONU, il Global Research Center, 3 industrie culturali e creative, 2 cluster, una rete di sviluppo rurale dell'Unione Europea e un'organizzazione no profit. Gli obiettivi principali di SOILSCAPE riguardano principalmente appunto la comprensione e lo sviluppo di quella che è l'attuale percezione nella relazione umano-suolo, quindi come l'essere umano percepisce e qual è la sua relazione con il suolo. Realizzare, progettare e condurre una rete di 8 Soil Orchestra, quindi 8 orchestre del suolo a livello europeo, che poi possano essere autosufficienti, coinvolgendo con l'obiettivo di coinvolgere più di 440 attori europei multidisciplinari per aumentare l'alfabetizzazione del suolo nella società. Inoltre, uno degli altri obiettivi è quello di poter utilizzare l'arte, quindi il suo valore e potere, per migliorare l'alfabetizzazione del suolo e dare a più di 5.000 cittadini e cittadine, professionisti e professioniste, la possibilità di prendersi cura in maniera diretta e positiva del suolo. Un altro degli obiettivi riguarda la possibilità di evidenziare, quindi poter mappare quelle che sono le best practice a livello europeo e raggiungere almeno 20.000 partecipanti al festival annuale di SOILSCAPE. Questo è uno dei risultati, questo è uno sì, appunto, dei risultati di progetto, quello di organizzare un festival annuale che poi possa, come dire, continuare, ok? Quindi nel tempo, quindi avere una sua vita e continuità anche dopo la fine del progetto. Infine, ma non per importanza, estendere la rete delle Soil Orchestra al di fuori dell'Europa e adottare delle misure di rafforzamento delle capacità di queste ultime, di questa ultima rete. Questi sono i risultati principali, come potete vedere evidenziati in questa slide di progetto. Il primo riguarda appunto la creazione di un catalogo di best practices e policies a riguardo dell'alfabetizzazione del suolo. Il secondo riguarda invece la creazione di un network di SOILSCAPE consapevole. Il terzo risultato principale riguarda la realizzazione delle linee guida per il supporto finanziario a terze parti, che è quello che stiamo realizzando e che è stato realizzato a favore di questi open call. Il quarto risultato invece riguarda la mappatura, quindi la creazione di questo Atlante di attività e prodotti artistici legati al suolo, quindi una mappatura completa a livello europeo e oltre europeo, se così si può dire. Il quinto risultato principale invece riguarda la realizzazione di un press kit dedicato all'alfabetizzazione del suolo per promuovere quest'ultima, che possa essere integrato con un portale interamente dedicato alla soil literacy e quindi obiettivo, risultato principale numero 6. Come vi anticipavo prima, uno degli altri risultati di SOILSCAPE è quello di individuare dei moduli per la realizzazione del festival di SOILSCAPE e a favore di questo realizzare anche uno starter pack per l'alfabetizzazione del suolo, quindi stiamo realizzando in questo momento delle infografiche che ci aiutino a comunicare in maniera diretta e chiara e massiva a quante più persone che cosa significa valorizzazione del suolo tramite l'arte. Un altro dei risultati principali riguarda, come dicevo, una buona roadmap di come costruire, quindi un buon percorso per la realizzazione di queste soil orchestra, queste reti, questi gruppi, e poi ovviamente delle raccomandazioni in termini di policy. Ora passo la parola a Serena, molto volentieri, che ci racconta che cos'è una soil orchestra. Grazie.
Grazie Giulia. Le Soil Orchestra sono una rete di artisti, scienziati e in generale soggetti interessati alle tematiche dell'arte e del suolo che lavorano in sinergia con l'obiettivo di promuovere la conoscenza e l'alfabetizzazione del suolo attraverso la collaborazione tra arte e scienza, in generale le pratiche artistiche. E ogni orchestra sarà guidata da un direttore o una direttrice d'orchestra e del consorzio di SOILSCAPE, che sarà poi responsabile del coordinamento dell'orchestra, dell'organizzazione del festival e del creare un collegamento tra la Soil Orchestra e il progetto, quindi SOILSCAPE. E in Italia saremo noi del Cluster Create ad essere direttrici e direttori d'orchestra. Si tratterà di una rete formata da 15 a 30 organizzazioni rappresentati tutti da una sola persona, proprio perché appunto c'è questo limite di partecipanti e oltre alla Soil Orchestra sarà anche presente una comunità della Soil Orchestra italiana invece più ampia da 40 a 60 individui che ne prenderanno parte. E come si può aderire alla Soil Orchestra italiana? Tramite la compilazione di un questionario di manifestazione di interesse che sarà disponibile fino al 15 di luglio. Dentro sarà possibile insomma presentare il proprio background e le motivazioni per cui si vuole insomma partecipare e far parte di questa rete. E il primo incontro di persona si svolgerà il 18 settembre 2025 a Bologna e sarà un primo momento insomma, per iniziare i lavori della Soil Orchestra italiana. Per chi però non riuscisse a partecipare alla Soil Orchestra e non venisse selezionato, sarà comunque invitato a far parte della comunità italiana di arte suolo che citavo prima, che contribuirà comunque alle decisioni e alla direzione dell'orchestra, della Soil Orchestra italiana, attraverso delle fasi di consultazione, sperimentazione, invito a iniziative e in particolare ai festival. Infatti, next slide please. La, ci sarà un festival di SOILSCAPE in Italia organizzato nel 2027, indicativamente tra aprile e giugno. Della durata di 2 giorni si terrà a Bologna, ancora la location specifica non è stata scelta, e sarà un festival dedicato ai ragazzi e alle ragazze dai 6 ai 12 anni, con l'obiettivo proprio di fare sensibilizzazione ai più giovani sul tema del suolo e sulla sua importanza. Infatti è proprio un'iniziativa, un momento pensato per comunque educare e divertire allo stesso tempo i ragazzi e le ragazze e in più come target anche più ampio ci sono comunque scuole, famiglie e parenti che accompagneranno i partecipanti e le partecipanti all'incontro. Ovviamente sarà in lingua italiana e se sarà possibile ci piacerebbe che venisse anche ricollegato a un'altra iniziativa, un altro evento con tematiche simili o un target affine al festival. Sì.
All right, great. So I will take over now and switch to English. So if anything is unclear, please put a message in the chat or in the question and answer. So we will start with an overview of the whole open call. So we have allocated about 2 million euros of our budget towards the financial support to third parties. So when you see FSTP, that's what it stands for. And this is going to fund 36 different sub-projects. So we have split this into 2 different categories. The first category is called the SOILSCAPE FSTP. And it's further broken down into 3 different strands or 3 different subcategories that are going to fund projects at different scales. So there will be 12 total, but for each of those 3 strands, there'll be 2 local ones that will be funded up to 50,000 euros, 1 national scale project that will receive up to 100,000 euros, and 1 transnational project, which will be up to 150,000 euros. The other category is the Soil Orchestra FSTP. And so for this category, there's going to be 24 different sub-projects that will take place in the 8 countries that are hosting the soil orchestras. And each country will have 3 sub-projects. So for Italy, there will be 3 sub-projects, and each of those can get up to 40,000 euros. The funding rate is 100% for all eligible costs, regardless of the category. So why do we have the open calls? Basically, we want to increase the awareness of soil and its importance, while trying to align with the context of citizens' daily lives and values. We'd like to connect it to the soil mission objectives, which are listed here and in the applicant's guide, and really try to integrate arts into soil-related activities and communication campaigns so that we can get citizens to protect and preserve soil and to really care about soil. So this is just another quick overview of the 2 different categories. So the first, these are the 3 strands. So innovative communication campaigns, organizing and promoting artistic or arts-based soil-related activities, and deploying innovative, creative, and participatory methodologies for engaging citizens in soil protection and preservation. So as I mentioned, each of those 3 strands will fund 2 local, 1 national, and 1 transnational project for a total of 12. The other side of the table gives a quick overview of the other 24 sub-projects. So you'll see that some, like Italy, have 3 different categories. Others have just 1, but we won't worry about those. We're going to focus more on the Italian soil orchestra today. Just to give an idea of the overall timeline, the open call was launched on June 2nd, and it's going to close on September 30th, 2025. After that time, the evaluation period will take place from October through until the end of December, so that selected projects will start contracting and signing their sub-grant agreements in January. And all projects, it doesn't matter what category, will start in March of 2026. Here it gets a little bit complicated again, but for the SOILSCAPE FSDP, projects or applicants can choose if they want their projects to last 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. And we did this to keep it flexible depending on the type of activity that they are going to be conducting, and also it could relate to the scale. So that's why it's up to the applicants. The Soil Orchestra FSDP, however, it's all 18 months. So it will start in March and it will last for 18 months. In terms of the eligibility, who can apply, some of the common eligibility criteria or rules for both categories include that individual applicants can apply. So it can be one organization, one artist, one scientist, an individual applicant, or a small consortia of up to 3 partners max. We require that all applicants are legal entities in Horizon Europe eligible countries. And in the applicant's guide, we have a specific chapter, I believe it is 3.2.1.2, of the list of eligible countries, with a link to an official Horizon Europe document. We also ask that members of or affiliated entities of the consortium, they are not able to apply. In the case of associations such as Cluster Create or ANSI Toscana, you can apply as long as you are not, you don't have a legal or financial stake. So if you are on the board of directors or an employee of the organization, that is not allowed, but just a general member, that is no issue. And another important aspect is only funding for work not yet accomplished can be funded. So if you have a project, you have an exhibition, you have a show that's ready to go, it addresses soil, this cannot as itself be funded if it's been done. You can, of course, use the work that you've done before and build on it and use parts of it, but it needs to be a new project that you're funding. Now, the soil orchestras, they all have some specific requirements that are mostly around language. In some cases, it's also restricted to the country. So again, we'll look more at Italy today. That's the biggest difference between the two categories, though. It's also worth noting that one proposal per applicant can be selected per funding category. So this means that you can apply for both the SOILSCAPE FSDP in one of those 3 strands, and you can also apply for one of the Soil Orchestra projects, so one from the Italian Soil Orchestra, for example, as long as the content in the application is different. So you cannot take the exact same proposal with the same project and apply for both. So just to give you a brief overview of the first category, the SOILSCAPE FSDP. As we mentioned, the 3 categories are developing the communication campaigns, the promotion of an organization of artistic soil-related activities, and innovative creative participatory methodologies to engage citizens with soil protection and preservation. So the 3 scales that these projects can take place are at local. So here what we had in mind were a specific community, a municipality, or a geographically confined area. The scope would be something smaller, most likely targeting local populations. The activities would be quite specific, but that you still, in your application, you still consider how the potential that things could be replicated or could be expanded beyond just that small scale. The national scale project should cover an entire country. So it should cover different regions or populations, or address or acknowledge national soil-related issues. And the European transnational scale, this is the biggest one, and because it should cross borders, activities should have a minimum of 2 countries. So you need to apply as a consortium in this particular case, but the focus should be on shared challenges and opportunities, and it should foster collaboration between the countries or regions. So without getting into too much detail, the goal of the innovative communication campaigns is to really use artistic means, unique approaches to communicate the value of soil and its connection to humans, the ecosystem, well-being, and to try and build a deeper connection or understanding of sustainable soil management practices among the public. So we would expect here in your proposal a clear campaign design with targeted messaging. We want some hands-on activities, tool development, but the types of activities are completely open. It could be digital campaigns, it could be interactive platforms, community events, exhibitions still, or installations, games, books, educational toolkits. The possibilities are still very, very open. For the second strand, this one has a much more artistic focus, we'll say, and the purpose is to foster innovative and engaging artistic activities that promote the importance of soil. And this can be in their natural context, their cultural context, but really we just want to inspire public interest and participation with soil. So here, the activities can range anything from performance art, again, exhibitions, hands-on activities, action-based soil practices, interactive walking tours. It could be anything you can imagine, but again, the focus is on public engagement with creative means. And the final strand, the innovative creative participatory methodologies. The goal here is to empower citizens to take an active role participating in soil protection and preservation, and really trying to build awareness to inspire collaboration and cultivate a sense of shared responsibility for soil health in different communities. So here, what really matters is that there's citizen engagement, and the methodologies are really participatory. So it's hands-on and working with people. But things could include, again, games or apps for tracking soil conditions, collaborative mapping, school programs, toolkits, anything you can think of. So now if we jump over to the second category, the Soil Orchestra FSTP, we will go right to the Italian Soil Orchestra. So here we have 3 different, again, subcategories to choose from. And the first are workshop lab tools. So what are these? Basically, the aim is to develop innovative, replicable, and adaptable tools that can engage children or the general public with soil-related topics. So we hope these tools will stimulate curiosity, understanding, and awareness about soil health and its significance, while also providing methodologies to assess and enhance engagement outcomes. So this means that within your tool, you should be able to see how well it's functioning, how well people are responding to it as well. And what's really important is that the tool or tools should be demonstrated during a workshop at the Italian Soilscape Festival that was mentioned before. So of course, activities can take place, you can test it, you can use these tools elsewhere. However, over the course of your project, but they definitely have to be showcased at the Italian Soilscape Festival. So these tools could include anything where soil software tools, lab or experimental, interactive visualizations. They can be anything you like. What we do expect as some key performance indicators, so the minimum outputs that we expect from these projects include obviously the tool kit, but we'd like a press release or a news release that announces your project and your tool, and participate in at least one of the workshop during the festival. And if the SOILSCAPE project would like to include you in a podcast, we would expect that you participate. So for the eligibility in this case, only legal entities from Italy are eligible. It's also important that applicants have adequate soil knowledge or include how they will obtain that soil knowledge. So one way would be through it could be through subcontracting. It could be through forming a consortium, or if the team applying actually has the background themselves, that would work too. But just in some way to acknowledge that any information you're sharing, it aligns with current soil science knowledge, and that you're not putting, I guess, incorrect or contrary, counterproductive information out to the public. The second category is an educational video game. So here, the objective is to develop an engaging and educational video game to improve soil literacy, covering different core soil-related topics with the focus on children. So we would expect immersive gameplay, educational content, and interactive features, but it should be playable in both Italian and in English. So these types of activities could include simulations, puzzle solving, adventures, strategies, role playing. There's no restriction on the type of game, but we expect the overall objective is to engage with soil and increase soil literacy. So some examples, only examples, there could be more for sure, but of core topics could include soil types or composition, nutrient cycles, conservation, the soil food web, or soil's role, or ecosystem services even. In terms of the KPIs, we expect a game, but also the instructions with a tutorial so that people are able to play if you're not standing right there with them, press release or news release, and again, participation in a podcast. So the festival itself will be held in Italian. So this at the very least, it should be played, or it should be demonstrated or piloted at the festival. And so because it will be in Italian, the game should be played by Italian-speaking children. Again, we expect applicants to have or explain how they will make sure that they have adequate soil knowledge for the project. And finally, an artistic performance is the last category. So here, the aim is to create and perform some form of artistic performance. It could be theater, music, dance. The possibilities are very open, but celebrating the ecological, cultural, and/or scientific significance of soil. So performances are encouraged to blend storytelling with musical accompaniment, but it's not required. But the artistic performance should take place at minimum during the SOILSCAPE festival. So of course it could be performed elsewhere, but it needs to be performed at the SOILSCAPE festival. So some types of themes that could be potentially of interest include ecological connections, cultural heritage, sustainability, art and nature, things like that. We expect projects besides the performance itself to include a playbill or equivalent. So some sort of very simple promotional document with the with the title, with some images and I guess the participants involved. We also expect the performance to be recorded so that it can be played potentially at other SOILSCAPE festivals or on the project's YouTube or for other SOILSCAPE project uses. Again, a press release and participation in a podcast or interview. For this case, only legal entities from Italy are eligible, and the same soil knowledge requirements. I will go back, sorry, and mention that for the video game, this is the only one, the only project that doesn't require that is not restricted to only Italian legal entities. So as long as you're from a Horizon Europe eligible country and are able to meet the language requirements, the Italian language requirements, you can apply for this particular category. So if you are now interested in actually applying, how do you do it? Well, the first step is to go to the opencalls.fund. Here it's an online platform where everything related to the open call process will take place. So the external evaluators, the application submission, the reviewing, the ranking, everything will take place in this platform. So all you do is create a user profile with your basic information, and then you'll see all of the open calls that we have running, and you select SOILSCAPE and you can start your application from there. So once the call has launched, so the next thing we recommend is to check all of the open call documents. These are available on the SOILSCAPE website. Then after, we recommend registering, creating an account on the Open Calls Fund website. Check your specific eligibility criteria, make sure that you meet the requirements, start your application, submit it on time, and once the evaluation, or sorry, once the call closes, an eligibility check is going to take place. So we'll go through the basic requirements, that all of the documents are there, they're properly filled out, everything in the checklist provided in the applicant's guide. And from there, applicants will be notified if they will move on to the full evaluation, or if they don't meet the eligibility requirements. Then they move into the full evaluation. Just to give you an idea of the required documents, we have the proposal template, which we'll get into a bit more detail shortly, the budget template, a signed declaration of honor. This is just to confirm there are no conflicts of interest, and you are who you say you are. A signed SME declaration, if relevant. So if you are not an SME, you can ignore this. An assigned consortium declaration, again, if relevant. So if you are a single applicant, you don't need to worry about that either, only the first three. So once the evaluation process starts, it will take place over that about 2-month period, but each proposal will be evaluated by 2 external expert evaluators. And these, when we say external evaluators, this means that they have absolutely no connection to the SOILSCAPE consortium. So they are completely independent. And for all of the different categories or both of the SOILSCAPE open call categories, we have 4 different award criteria. And each of these criteria will get a score out of 5. And in order to be accepted, you need a minimum, besides the ranking, you need a minimum of 3 in each category and a minimum total of 12. So the first category is the concept and the feasibility. So this is looking at the clarity, the relevance, and how practical your concept is, and whether it aligns with the SOILSCAPE project and the open call objective. This is also where we'll look at the scientific coherence and alignment with current soil knowledge. The second category is the creativity and potential to engage citizens. So this is where more of the artistic aspect will come into play, and how original, how creative the idea is, and the potential to actively engage and to resonate with different audience members. The third category is the impact and exploitation. So basically what is the anticipated impact of the activities? And when we say the strategies for exploiting the sub-project results, this exploitation, it just means the use and the reuse of the project results. So it's a positive thing. And I'll mention here, as it's a question that has come up, we expect so anything that's created within these sub projects, it's the intellectual property of the artists, or of those who created it. However, we expect to be able to reuse the project results within SOILSCAPE. So if you do a performance and you make the video, we should be able to show this video at other SOILSCAPE events or put it on our SOILSCAPE YouTube, or we should be able to use it. Once the project is over, it's yours to do as you wish. So if you would like to, take your performance and tour it across, Europe or the world and charge admission and everything, you can do that. It's yours. But during the project, we expect to be able to reuse your results. But it is considered a positive, if you can think long term, if there's more you can do with it than just your sub-project. The final category is the organizational capacity and sufficiency in the team's background. So here we just want to see that, that the work plan is coherent and it's effective, and that the resources have been distributed properly. We also look at the team's, a little bit of the team's background and composition. That's not to say that we expect to have, that everyone needs degrees and years of experience, but we just like to see that it's a team that and the resources are there to that the project will actually take place and be followed through. I'll note here that we have a redress process in place. So if this does not relate to any to calling into question the scientific or technical judgment of the experts, but if an applicant feels that there is a procedural shortcoming in how their evaluation was conducted, they can make an appeal, and we will bring it to the Open Call Advisory Board to decide how to move forward. The Open Call Advisory Board is made up of the SOILSCAPE, I guess the leaders of the main tasks of the SOILSCAPE project. And as we'll see, they also have a role in evaluating the deliverables during implementation. Which brings us to implementation. So as we mentioned, the duration is a little bit different for each of the different projects, but what is common to all of them is that once the projects start, they are split into 3 different phases: the design, the development, and the validation. So regardless of the duration, these 3 phases will take place, and each of these phases will end with the submission of a deliverable. So the first one is an activity plan, and this basically is going to be an elaboration of the proposal. So it is not a very labor-intensive deliverable. We just want to expand on the 15 pages of the proposal and provide a little bit more detail. This is also a chance for the Soil Orchestra FSTP projects that are selected to interact closely with Cluster Create, the Soil Orchestra conductor, just to make sure that everything aligns both with the festival and the activities they're proposing and the timelines. And so there'll be close connection at this stage in the first couple of months. The second phase is the development. So the deliverable will be most likely sort of a summary of evidence that you participated in the festival. As you can see in the Soil Orchestra timeline here, there's some dots. It's the actual duration is not set yet because it will depend on the final dates of the festival. The final phase is the validation, and here this will most likely be sort of a wrap-up of your experience, the lessons learned, sort of a summary. But once the implementation period starts, the deliverable templates will be shared well in advance, and we'll be able to answer questions. The deliverables are not meant to be, to take up so much of your time. We want you to be spending time on doing the actual work that, you applied to do. However, the deliverables are tied to the funding, to the release of the funding. And we do this to make sure that the work does in fact get done. So once your activity plan is approved, you'll receive 30% of the funding. After the second deliverable, it's 50%, and after the final deliverable, it is 20%. So these deliverables will also be evaluated by the Open Call Advisory Board. So they're not so technical, or they're not so overwhelming, that the members of the board with different backgrounds cannot evaluate them. So Just to go quickly, so we have time for questions, in a little bit more detail of the proposal template itself. It's broken into, I guess, 5 chapters and the budget. Also, in terms of formatting, it is only 15 pages. The 15 pages does not include the budget or the cover pages or the table of contents, and you can also remove any explanatory texts that are included in the template. However, external evaluators are instructed to ignore anything after the 15th page. So we really expect the page limit to be respected. The details, it's a Cambria font size 11. We have some details about the margins and the spacing. But we really expect this template to be followed. We don't want to see, we want to see the chapters in place. We want to see the template as it is and not something from another project that's just been converted to PDF and uploaded. So please use the correct template and respect the page limit. So the chapters of the proposal include the general information. This is where you can select exactly what category. So the SOILSCAPE FSDP or the Soil Orchestra FSDP, it's in a checkbox format like this. Of course, don't forget to select the project scale and the duration if you choose the SOILSCAPE FSDP. We also ask for a project proposal title and an acronym. And then we ask for a short motivational statement in a few lines describing what soil means to you or what comes to mind when you hear the word soil, as well as an executive summary. So kind of a pitch of your proposal, giving the key points. The motivational statement is not something that is taken into consideration in your evaluation. However, it's really something of interest to the consortium, and we feel it's an important way to sort of ground yourself in the objectives and the mindset of the SOILSCAPE project. But we would, this is also in the proposal template, let you know that the information here could be used by the selected projects, integrated into the results of a survey. The executive summary could also be used on the website or used for promotion of the selected projects. And the final part, of course, is your contact information. Make sure it's correct. That's how we communicate with you. In the proposal description, we have the context and the relevance. So things like how does soil inspire the project, or how does the proposal meet the call requirements. We also ask here for the objectives and some expected results. So what do you envision by the end of the project? Here would include your work plan and the activities. So ideally with a nice little graphic of this is what will happen here, and aligned with the phases of the deliverables, and then a breakdown of your team. The third chapter is the methodology. So this is why the proposal template is such a huge document, because we have appendices for each of the strands of the SOILSCAPE FSDP and for each of the Soil Orchestra subcategories. This is done because we need some specific information. A video game, we need more different information than an artistic performance. And so so the specifics about the methodology can be found in the appendix for the specific category. So just to give you an idea, what we'd be looking for the lab tools would be, what type of tool is it? What are the functional requirements? How can it be replicated? Is there an evaluation and a feedback mechanism? And what about data collection? For the video game, we need to know the educational content goals. What is the gameplay? Are there audiovisual elements? What are the platform and technical requirements? Is there a storyline, and what are the narrative elements? Again, is there in-game or embedded values for assessment and feedback? And again, data collection. And finally, for the artistic performance, we'd like some details about the performance itself, the format and the style of the structure. Will the audience be engaged? If so, how? And then what are the practical and technical requirements? Your space, how long is it? If it was included in the festival, how often can it be performed? And of course, outreach and documentation. So the video production or any supporting documents you can create. In this case, you are allowed to include sketches or designs or work samples and links outside of the 15 pages. However, evaluators are not required to open them, so they may or may not be used. The fourth chapter is about the impact. So here we're looking a bit at the public awareness, how we envision some behavioral change or perception shifts happening, the visibility of the soil mission, the long-term impact, and the adaptability. And finally, the other aspects include the inclusivity and the accessibility, as well as if there's any interdisciplinary collaboration and ethical considerations. So if you open the proposal template, there's some guiding questions and instructions under each of them. So they're not just broad categories where you have to come up with, oh no, what does this mean? We tried to guide you through with specific things to consider. So in your application, you can, in your proposal, you can answer them in bullet points. You can turn them into paragraphs, whatever is most convenient for you. Finally, we have the budget template. This is a separate Excel document. There's an instruction page on the first sheet, but we do require worksheets, one for each partner if you have a consortium. Otherwise, just delete the extras. And we would like it as a PDF. We also would like to make sure that the total costs are equal to the deliverable costs. So you will receive the 30% of what you ask. That is what you will get in the first payment, 50% in the second, and 20%. So that won't change. So it's best to keep to have your budget aligned in that way. The cost categories include your personnel, so the costs of people doing work, travel costs. The big one is the other goods and services, which covers most things like your supplies. It could be short-term rentals, fees, including artists' fees, writing, cast, anything like that. Equipment. This one is only depreciation costs, so it's a little bit more complicated. If you have questions about that, feel free to email us. Subcontracting is also allowed up to a maximum of 25% of the budget. It just needs to be justified. And of course, indirect costs up to 25%. Finally, the very last part before we'll open the floor for questions is the call for evaluators. So as we mentioned, we are looking also for the independent evaluators that will assess the quality of these applications. So if you've heard all of this and said, no, thank you, I do not want to submit an application, but if you have a background in soil, you're an artist and have experience with participatory methodologies, please. All we ask is that you are citizens or tax residents of Horizon Europe eligible countries, and that you fit within one of these two profiles. So for the arts expert, we're looking for just a background in arts, cultural programming, creative methodologies, design, or any related field. The soil scientists, we're looking for a background obviously in soil science or environmental science, agronomy, ecology, but basically that their role will be to assess any scientific accuracy of the messages conveyed in proposed projects. So each proposal will have an arts expert and a soil scientist evaluating the proposal. So we are looking for evaluators as well. To do so, again, you go to the opencalls.fund platform, create a profile, and once you upload your CV, you're entered into the pool of evaluators. And so when if you're selected, you will be contacted to see if you are in fact interested and available. So for the full open call kit, you can visit the SOILSCAPE website, and to register or start your application, you can visit the opencalls.fund. If you have questions at any time, please contact us at soilscape@opencalls.fund. You can also go through Julia or Serena. They'll forward it on to me, and I will answer you as soon as possible. And we will be having another webinar tomorrow, going into a bit more detail on the whole program on the 3 strands. Tomorrow at 2:30 CET, I believe. So I will end the slide and let us start with some questions. I see nothing in the Q&A, so let's go with the chat. Julia, I will pass the floor to you.
Thank you so much. Yes, we already received some questions in the chat. They were mainly addressed to us for the Soil Orchestra. The first one was about if it is possible to share interest in becoming member of the Soil of the Italian Soil Orchestra and submit a project proposal to the FSTP either SOILSCAPE or FSTP Soil Orchestra, and we said yes, that it is possible.
Absolutely, and I meant to point that out, that those are two completely separate things. So by all means, you do not need to be a member of the Soil Orchestra to apply, but it also doesn't mean you can't apply. So yes, please apply for both.
Perfect. And the second one was about if the artistic performance candidate for the Italian Soil Orchestra FSTP call is primarily addressed to the prevailing target audience of our festival. We said yes. I mean, it is important that it should be accessible and understandable by these target audience, but it should also consider the wider one.
Yes, for sure. So basically, I think, if you're not mistaken, the festival, it's for children and for families and for the general public. So you want to keep that in mind.
Yeah. And now I switch 1 second to Italian. Solamente mi sono dimenticata di dirlo all'inizio del webinar, ma ovviamente, come avrete visto, è tutto registrato, quindi poi condivideremo la registrazione sul canale YouTube del Cluster Create, ed è stata avviata la trascrizione, quindi se non ci sono obiezioni abbiamo registrato insomma i vostri indirizzi, quindi possiamo inviarvi la presentazione. Anche questa verrà condivisa sul nostro sito web, quindi sarà accessibile per chiunque voglia riprendersi, poi riguardarsi le slide qualora qualcosa non fosse chiaro, ma comunque rimaniamo ovviamente, come ha detto prima Mackenzie, a disposizione per rispondere direttamente noi alle vostre domande, oppure inoltrandole a Mackenzie per un ulteriore chiarimento. Se avete altre domande nel frattempo, siamo ancora qua, abbiamo ancora 5 minuti a disposizione.
And we should mention that all of even like for the Italian Soil Orchestra FSTP, the activities will be, so the performance, the tools, it will be in Italian. However, the deliverables and the communication need to be with the SOILSCAPE consortium are in English. So the applications need to be in English, deliverables in English.
Yeah, thank you.
We have the links now in the chat as well for the website and for the Open Calls Fund.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, maybe we can. Okay, yeah, there's one. How many workshops can be planned, organized in the SOILSCAPE FSTP?
As many as you want. If this is part of your project, it's as many as you want. It depends on what your project is. So if your project is developing a workshop, it will depend on your budget of how many times or how many different places you want to do it, or if it's if it's a series of workshops that build on each other, that's something else. If you apply for the Soil Orchestra FSTP, the minimum requirement is for a workshop to take place at the festival, but that's the minimum requirement. For the SOILSCAPE FSTP, in one of those strands, it's much more open as well.
And now I see a question in the Q&A chat.
Could you explain more about how it covers the cost of buying equipment? So basically, it's the depreciation costs, and I believe we have a formula or a better explanation in the actual in the budget template itself. But if the difference is like something like equipment is something that it would be a bigger purchase that would last much beyond just the scope of the project. So that would be something like a laptop, for example. It's not like you buy it, the project happens, and then it's done. So in that case, the full cost wouldn't be covered, but only the depreciation over the course of the project. But if it's other things like, you know, supplies or materials or things specifically for the that more within the timing of the project, then that would be just in other goods or services. So I would recommend taking a look at the template, and if it's still not clear, then please send us an email and we will do our best to answer, or we can have a short call. The best thing to do is to take a look at the open call kit, the applicant's guide, in particular, the proposal template and budget template. And if you're only interested in the call for evaluators, we have a specific document called the call for evaluators. So the best thing to do would be to start there and then keep asking questions.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we can close if there are no other questions. We are perfectly on time.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you so much and good luck with your applications.
Grazie mille a tutte e a tutti. Ciao.